Hey guys, we've been studying asexual and sexual reproduction. So I thought it'd be a good time, being that it's springtime and the daffodils are out, to go over the structure of a flower. So we're going to dissect a flower here, which is the reproductive system of flowering plants. This is a diagram of a flower. We have three major parts: the pistil, which is the part of the flower that holds the female sex cells. This is the pistil here. Over here, we have the stamen. This is the part of the plant that holds the male sex cells. And we have the perianth, which means around the flower. This is the petals and the sepals, which are the leaves that surround the flower. With daffodils, they're a little different. Their sepals are yellow, and they look a lot like the petals. So we don't call them sepals and petals, we call them tepals. The daffodil is called Narcissus pseudonarcissus. Narcissus was a guy that became infatuated with his looks, and in Greek mythology, and he stared into a river and became paralyzed as a consequence. This is probably more of a reference to the fact that this is a poisonous plant and it has a narcotic effect. It makes the central nervous system feel numb. So Narcissus refers to its numbing effect. When you look at the petals or the tepals, if you will, they're always in groups of three. Daffodils are part of a group of plants called monocots, and their number of petals are always in multiples of three. So if you look here, the tepals here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the petals on the inside here are fused together. They call this the corolla and this the corona. So this is the crown, and this corolla means wreath. So the first structure we're going to take a look at here is the perianth around the flower. And the perianth deals with the tepals here in yellow. These are all the tepals. Now these are considered to be body cells. The sex cells have half the chromosome number. The cells of all the perianth, of all these tepals here, they contain 14 chromosomes, depending on the variety of daffodil. But we're going to go with 14 chromosomes. From here, we're going to start looking at the sexual organs of the reproductive system of the flower. We're going to look at the pistil and the pistil here and the stamen, which is the male part. So here's your reproductive organs. This is the pistil, which houses at the bottom the female sex cells, and these are the stamen here. Now, we said the leaves were in multiples of three. The stamen are in multiples of three as well. There's 6 stamen in the daffodil. And if you look at the pistil, even the pistil is in multiples of three. It looks like just one, but it's actually 3 pistils, 3 carpels that have fused together over the course of evolution. So here's the stamens. I removed them from our flower here. This is the male part of the flower. At the top here is called the anther, and this part here is called the filament. Now, with daffodils, the anther is quite long in comparison to the size of the stamen, where in other species it's reduced. And if you look at the anther at the end there, you could see the pollen grains there. And within the pollen grains, there are some cells in there that have half the chromosome number, 7, because they were created by meiosis. So we consider these guys inside the anther, inside the pollen grains, to be sex cells. Now we're going to take a look at the organ within the flower that's housing the female sex cells called the pistil. Here's a picture of the pistil. The pistil is comprised of three parts. If you look back here, we have the stigma, the style, and the ovary. Stigma, style, ovary. Now, the stigma at the top is the part that receives the pollen grain. And this is a close-up picture of the stigma I took. I have a little adapter for my iPhone that allows me to take almost pictures at almost 30 times magnification, I should say. This is a cross-section of the ovary. I cut it open. The box cutter, I don't have any scalpels here. So I cut this right here as a cross-section. And you can take a look at the ovules, which are the little eggs inside the ovary. And these ovules contain the sex cell that we would refer to as the egg. Angiosperms, like daffodil and all flowering plants, are named after this structure. The ovary is the vessel that contains the seed. Angio refers to the vessel, this whole part here, and the sperm refers to the seed, which is going to develop within the ovary. And a ripened ovary is considered to be a fruit. So you can see why economically these are really important. All of our grains, all of our fruits, all of our vegetables, they come from angiosperms. The way these organisms can reproduce is through cross-pollination or self-pollination. They can pollinate themselves, or they can get pollen from another plant and mate with another individual. The bumblebee is the pollinator for daffodils. So the bumblebees come for the nectar that's secreted at the base of the flower, and they accidentally acquire some pollen and transmit it to the pistil of another plant. The way it works is the pollen grain has two sperm inside it and a tube cell. The two sperm have half the chromosome number. They have 7, just like the egg in the ovary has half the chromosome number. So when they fuse, they form a new cell with 14 chromosomes again. The way the pollen grain gets the sperm into the ovary is the first cell grows into the stigma and style, the pistil of the plant. And then 2 sperm with half the chromosome number, they follow close behind. And there's what's called double fertilization. The egg gets fertilized, and a central cell within the ovary, within the ovule, gets fertilized as well. And that central cell, once it's fertilized, that becomes the endosperm, which means inside the seed. That's what gives the plant the starch it needs, the sugars it needs to develop and sprout. And the egg here eventually ends up producing the new plantling. So I just want to wish you guys happy Earth Day. Get outside and enjoy the outdoors, conserve, and don't forget to use your ingenuity and learn to invent some things. Get creative. We're going to need you to solve some of these problems we have here on Earth. All right. Have a nice day, guys. Bye now.